I gotta wait. How long I gotta wait for a press record?
Go.
Welcome to the share, where Miss Dreme always has a story.
I'm Dreme, a black woman with many beautiful interconnecting identities. A few I will name at this moment as we get started on this podcast journey together. A Bostonian, born and raised in the inner city, Dorchester and Roxbury neighborhoods, to a teenage single mother who has my whole heart. An educator, I've been working with youth and children since my teenage years, and formally, I have been teaching almost a decade now. That's wild to think about. An entrepreneur, I am the founder of The Chair, a black and brown centered tech platform dedicated to supporting people on their hair journey, where you can design hairboards, connect to hairstylists, and share hair care tips for a more joyous experience. I have a workable site, my prototype. It took me 2 years to build, and now I'm on this adventure that you're currently on with me. My goal for this podcast is to share stories, black stories, educator stories, entrepreneurship stories, and hair stories. I want you to leave each episode with the opportunity to gain new insight, just a glimpse into my world or the worlds that are featured on my podcasts, a little chuckle during your day or night, possibly a little anger to encourage you to advocate for justice, and hope to continue learning and dreaming. So come in and listen to the beautiful voices in the chair as they share their stories, starting with me.
Where we share stories in the chair.
All right, everyone, this is Lisa. Lisa, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name is Lisa. I use she, her pronouns. I'm in my late 40s. I am of European and Persian heritage, though read and experience the world completely as a white person. I am a single mom by choice to an amazing 15-year-old, and I love to make art.
I feel like education is there's so much beauty in it.
Yeah. When I think there's so much beauty in it, and it has been such a tool for teaching, maintaining, perpetuating white supremacy,
Yep.
capitalism, sexism in all its forms, right? Includes homophobia and transphobia. And I know a few years ago, a mutual friend of ours who was running a bunch of these like community forums asked me to do one on education. And I was like, okay, I got to get to what's really, really underneath it. Because there's all these movies like, oh, if you do karate and sonnets, or it's about grit, it's about block scheduling, it's about standards-based grading. Like, you know, like the solution's going to be some surface level whatever. And I was like, all right, what's the founding paradigm of this country? Oh, it's genocide. So I looked at like how the stages of genocide show up at a cultural level in how public education got created in this country. And it's there. It's so incredibly there. And so I put together this timeline that just looks at what were these different choice points in how education got created that align completely with the different stages of genocide repeatedly. How much, even after 25 years of trying to teach and be in schools differently, of trying to inhabit all my identities in a way that is more whole for myself and the rest of the world, that stuff is still in there. You know, and how much the system of any school I've ever been in, even the great ones, there's so much of that in there because it's in the DNA of this institution we call education. And I think that's the piece that we have to be talking about and looking at and critiquing that is deeper than what's just the reading list, or like are the history and English classes like you talked about like in sync with each other, are students doing project-based learning, like all that stuff is good and important, but like really, really what's underneath.
When I was in grad school, at the very beginning of my education career, we had to write all these deep reflections, personal narratives, personal. manifesto. Right. And there was one manifesto, and it was like, what is the type of teacher you want to be?
Yeah.
And what do you want to leave your kids with? I wrote a lot of things, but the thing that I think about every day is I want to have my kids leave feeling like they're an activist. That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what I want. That, and then being kind. So like a kind activist. like that's what I want. If you're an activist, that means there's empowerment within that. You see yourself within that.
You see yourself as worthy within that.
And you see yourself as somebody who is a part of a community.
Yes.
Like you don't see yourself as just yourself.
Right.
And kindness, I feel like it reminds us that we can give each other grace. Yeah. It reminds us that sweetness is a care. Like we hold our hearts. We are gentle. Activism is hard. It's tiring. Yeah. It's sad. It's burdening. But that kindness reminds us to celebrate and laugh. Yeah. I love a loud classroom. I love a a musical classroom. I love a laughing classroom. Yes. Anytime I'm in a school and there's no one laughing, I get stressed out. Yes. So if you can leave my class feeling like you are a kind activist, then I've done my job in this racist, systematic, all the things to be like, okay, you may not remember that lesson, but you remember how you feel. You remember yourself when you're moving on. Yeah. Like when you're uncovering all the systems, and like I think about my students so much, being like, I wonder how they see themselves today. I don't care if they remember what I taught them. Right. But like, how do you see yourself in the world that we live in?
Yeah. And I'm glad you said care when you talked about kindness, because I feel like kindness is one of those words that shows up on the board. Cutesy, like, choose kindness, be kind, whatever. And my experience of the brand of kindness that you bring to the world, deep care and showing up for, right? That's how I experience you as a friend, as a colleague. That's how I see you with young people, is I'm going to show up for you. And that first handout of yours that I found on the copier, to me is an example of that you were aware you had some queer kids in your classroom. You were aware there was a lot of homophobia and transphobia just in the culture of that group of students. And so your response was, let me hold up to you queer folks who are clear in who they are, who are powerful, who are working to make the world a better place. And that's how we're going to do, I don't know what the vocabulary or grammar thing was that you had to do. So we're going to do something real while we're having to do this other thing to meet this requirement. Yep. And I'm going to see you, and I'm going to have care for you, and I'm going to center you in a way that you get to be whole. And so I want to make sure when you talk about kindness that it's not the like
flowers and sunshine.
Yeah, I mean, it's got that. You got some flowers and sunshine too. But there's this whole deeper thing about, to me, that you bring about wholeness and belief that the young people in front of you are incredible human beings, and that you want them to know that and understand that and be proud of themselves.
Because people have done that for me. People will be like, yo, you talk about your mom a lot. And I will absolutely talk about her 100%. But my mom was the beginning, right? And she was a constant reminder. Yeah. But then there have been amazing teachers in my life. There have also been just beautiful people who've just tapped me and said, hey, remember, you exist. You're on this planet. Like, you're doing some cool stuff here. I may not be that long-term memory for kids, but I have you for X amount of days. Yeah. I'm going to try to do it every day. So at least as soon as you leave me and you go to the next one, you have a little bit of sparkle left. There's something there, because I think about the teachers who didn't really care. We have a lot more of those teachers consistently than the ones who are taking all this effort, or the ones who are burnt out. And I think about those negative experiences are going to be so much more intense that you can dust off the sparkle. Yes. You know? Yes. So why not be able to be a teacher to just try to drown them in it? Yeah. So when you do have a hard day, you can be like, well, Miss Dreme said I was special. Yeah. Miss Dreme wants to be a kind activist.
And I think one of the questions we were talking about earlier was around white saviorism, and then also like, what's the action beyond book clubs? Yep. And I think that's it. When I go in as a white savior teacher, my only signs of success are you are compliant, you are obedient, you have taken the test, and you have met some white standard of success. If I'm going in as a teacher of young people, my signs of success are you've got more sparkle when you leave here. You have some more skills to do the thing that you want to do in the world.
Yep.
And you have the ability to understand what's happening around you and make conscious choices about how you are or aren't participating in that. And those two things look so, so different, and they feel so different.
Yeah.
Because one is about, can I dominate you into this particular kind of role and line, and my identity is and my worth as a teacher is wrapped up in
your
that,
success,
in this very, very narrow version of success that is reliant on a lot of compliance and domination, right? Versus, am I here as an adult who's going to care for you unconditionally and support you into being your fullest best self, knowing that that's going to look different in a whole bunch of different ways? And can I have explicit conversations with you about the choices that you have and how you're making them, so that you know there's someone in your corner who cares about that and wants to engage with you around that?
Yeah, I think the thing that people, I feel like I'm coming up against, they're like, well, how can you teach like that and still teach them skills? And I'm like, those two don't have to be separate things.
They're not at all. And that's where the choicefulness comes in. Like, do you want to be good at the test because it gets you, that's a gatekeeper thing to other places? Great. Let's kick this test's ass. But now we're doing it because we know why we're doing it.
Yep.
And there's consent around it, and there's choicefulness. And it's not because the way you talk is one bad way and the way I talk is one good way. It's that, do you want to learn this way because it gets you access and you choose when and how you use it? That's a whole different relationship. And if I'm with you in that relationship, the learning is going to be so much easier because there's not this whole other side control issue thing going on.
Where we share stories in the chair.
Look, it's my commercial. We will be right back.
It's more than just a bad hair day. It's a journey. Finding the right hairstyle isn't easy, nor is finding the right stylist or the right products. Looking in every corner of the web gets messy, overwhelming, and exhausting. All the ads, the articles, the products, the videos, it shouldn't be this hard, but it is. And now, it isn't.
The Chair.
A black and brown centered platform where you can design hairboards, connect to hairstylists, and share hair care tips for a new, joyful path on your hair journey. Avoid the clutter, save yourself hours, months, and even years of research and poor trial and error. Everything you need and only what you need is in one place. Hairboards made by people like you, for you. Find the right products, the right people, the right answers for you, stress-free. Join
The Chair.
the community and make every day a great hair day. When you share your pain, you allow others to help you. And when you share your success, you help others get theirs. Lean on.
The Chair.
We got you.
No stress, no strife. In the chair. The chair. The chair. All right.
As a very experienced teacher, what advice would you give to that brand new teacher who just finished that 1 year little program or that 2 year little program and they've decided education is their world? To the white teachers.
Yes. All right. So first of all, you got to look at your racial media diet and you got to change it up because you've been eating the wrong stuff. So you got to read, watch, listen to folks from your students' community, right? You got to get in there, go to the events, get invited to the quinceañeras, to the birthday parties, to the barbecues, show up, act right, get in there. Who are the teachers in your school that the other kids talk about being hard teachers with reverence? because those are the good teachers. Go sit in their classroom. Even if it means you got to stay up 40 minutes later because you used your free period, go watch them, because those are the teachers who know what they're doing. Every evening, my first week of school every year was calling every parent and saying, here's something incredible your kid did today, or here's why I'm so excited your kid is in my class. The relationship building has to start early, and it has to start with, I think your child is precious and amazing. And I want to partner with you to help grow that in your child. That's got to be the first point of contact with parents, because that's got to be the orientation. The first few years are going to be rough. Stick it out, stay around, and then find other white folks that you can talk about what it means to be white. A. B, what it means to be white in this context, and people who will tell you the real truth and not just spare your feelings and be nicey, but like honest. And figure out what the reference points are that you got to change up, that you've internalized, that will not serve your students. So you can read the thing, but everything's got to be backed up with action. And listen to your students. Listen to them when they're talking to you directly, and listen when they're talking to you indirectly. If you ask students what you can do to be better and you do the things they say, they'll tell you more, and you can do more, and your classroom will be better for everybody.
I like these.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, you just got to find some other white folks to talk with. And you got to be real about it. You got to have some accountability in there.
Do you have a memory of a student that sticks out to you? This is why I teach.
So many.
Nice.
So many. So I'm dyslexic. I couldn't read till I was in 5th grade. So I thought I was stupid. I've spent most of 4th grade with my head down on the desk crying. I still to this day, when I have to read out loud in front of people, which I do a lot as a teacher, I get some serious anxiety because it's so deep in there. And early on in my career, I was working at a school where 20 to 30% of the 9th graders were failing 9th grade. So after my first year there, a bunch of teachers, we got together and we're like, this isn't working. This is a setup for these kids. And so we created an alternative 9th grade program where they didn't take science and history that year, but had extra time on English and math. And I taught a study skills course. History and science were only 3-year graduation requirements at the time. And so they got twice as much time on the stuff that they had not been taught well. And it was a mix of kids who had gone to schools where they were just not taught, kids who had diagnosed or undiagnosed learning differences that had never been addressed, and then students who had really disrupted education because their families were fleeing their home country and then maybe another country before they had gotten here. And each one of those students in that program that we ran graduated on time, got into college, and their teachers for the rest of their high school career talked about how they were better at working in groups than any other students, and they were more likely to ask a question when they didn't understand something. And I remember every single one of those students. And so they stay with me all the time. I was walking down the street the other day in my neighborhood, and one of them was coming out of Dunkin' Donuts and stopped me. And we were both crying by the end of the conversation. Well, he might have confessed to crying, but there was like a little tear. And for both of us, what it was to create a space where we could actually meet students where they were, where he could be met where he was. He wasn't stupid. He had not been taught well. And what a difference that makes. And I know what it is to think I'm stupid when I'm not. And it was adults stepping in, figuring out what was going on with me and helping me do what I needed to do in order to do all the other things. So I think about all of those students always.
That's beautiful. Oh,
Yeah.
It makes my heart warm. Oh, and if you're interested to learn more about my experiences as a Black woman and educator in Guangzhou, China, I wrote my first ebook titled Nowhere and Everywhere, Captured Emotions of a Beautifully Broken Love Story. It is on lulu.com. Take a read and see some beautiful photography of mine. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Is there a particular student moment or a why you teach moment that you hold on to?
Ooh. Yeah, I do have a few too. I was co-teaching this one. I was co-teaching with my white teacher. Our relationship was cool. We were growing together as teachers, but also as leaders. So I'm Black, he's white, and 100% of our class is Latinx. 95% identified as Mexican. And we were teaching humanities and math. The class was fine. It was going well. And I like to watch my kids at recess because that's when they feel the most free. And I try to get that spirit in the class. And so I spend a lot of time thinking about what is it about recess that makes them excited or happy or all the things. In this particular recess, the kids were playing tag with each other, and the kids were saying the N-word to each other. At that time, I was the only Black person on this particular campus, and they never said the word in any other context. So I was like, So then I thought maybe it was a fluke. I give everybody a little pass in my mind. So the next day I came to recess, and it happened again. So I was like, oh, okay, this is a thing. So then I go up to my white co-teacher and I said, hey, they're saying the N-word and I have feelings about it. Yeah. And he's like, oh, what do we got to do? You know, things like that. We can tell them not to say it. But I was like, that's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
Telling them not to say it is not enough. They need the why. So I was like, how about I do some lessons on the N-word? He's like, okay, how can I help? And I said, okay, this is how you can help. So you're going to role play with me for the week. And so I wrote out a week's worth of lessons about the N-word. Every day was a different perspective, a different idea of how to look at it. Because I personally don't use it. If I say it, it's because I'm using it in context to explain something. But I understand why Black people use it. I understand why anybody who identifies as Black uses it. I get it. And so the kids come in from recess. It's a brand new week. And I go, hey, I'm taking over all the lessons this week, just me. And we're going to talk about the N-word. And the kids got so stressed. Yeah. And I was like, all right, why are we talking about this? Because I hear this at recess. And I have a lot of feelings about it. But I'm not going to tell you any of my feelings until the end of the week. Woo! Right? And they go, for real? I said, yep. I said, this is an open platform. Every day we will have different lessons. So every week it was one lesson about using it in music. There was one talking about how it's read in books. Yeah. We talked about one where I found videos on YouTube about Latinx people using the N-word. And they were from all different countries. So then some of them looked like them and some of them didn't. And there was this back and forth. And they had conversations. I remember I used a video about Oprah and Jay-Z having this argument about the N-word. So like every day was all these different perspectives. And every day we had great conversations with all the kids in class. Like the first conversation was really difficult for them because they felt really bad. Yeah. About being like, oh, we said it. Yeah, right. Like we are in trouble, right? Like, and I was like, we're just talking about this. No one is trouble. I am not sending you to the principal's office. Like, I created this environment so we could have these conversations. And my white co-teacher, shout out to Mr. Kenny, he was on board. Yeah, and he role played. And then the last day we had debates about using the N-word, and there's this game I call Hot Seat, where it's like an agree and disagree, and I would put kids in different, and I would purposely put you in different. So I was just back and forth. Yeah. So the kids really didn't know how I felt about the word because I was in every argument, and the entire class was so into it that at the end they were like, "Okay, Miss Dreme, how do you feel?" And I told them my opinion. I told them like, I don't feel that anyone who doesn't identify as Black should use that. And I was like, there's a lot of reasons why the N-word is used. And I was like, if you don't identify as black, you've never met black people, you don't engage, like there's all these things. And they're like, okay, we understand that. They're like, we hear it in music. And I said, yes, that was on day 3. What did we have our conversations about when it comes to music? What does music signify for people, right? So we were having all these conversations because a lot of my kids did have similar experiences to the artists they were listening to. So there was those different feelings when it came to that. So I was like, okay, what does this mean for you? But I said, if I'm a black person, I come up to you and you are scared to say the word in front of me, then we're having a different conversation. Yeah. And they were like, okay, you're right here. Like it was such an open week with such a group of 8th graders that I think about that week often because those kids, whether or not they use it or not, I have no idea, but they can't tell me that they haven't thought about it intensely. And they talked about it with each other and they talked about it with me. And at that time, the majority of them, their first full black interaction, like we are talking every day. You would see me all the time. Because I was in East LA. I wasn't in Compton. I wasn't in Inglewood, right? So there's a difference in terms of racial makeup in that space. And so for me at that moment, I felt like, I'm a teacher. Like this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm here. So these kids will know. At the end of that year, I had one of my kids. He didn't talk often, but he ended up giving the speech because he was a silent leader. Yeah. So people always looked up to this kid. And he went on the mic and they were like, this was the end. They're saying thank yous and all the things. And he goes, I want to thank Miss Dreme for introducing me to blackness in a way that I've never seen it before in class. Woo! And didn't expect to hear that at all. And it's from this kid who doesn't really talk a lot. Yeah. And he said that and I was like, man, I did something. Yes. Moments like that remind me this is why I teach. Yes. Yes. Woo!
May every 8th grader have a teacher like you. Yes.
I want people to see themselves in a classroom. Yeah. That's my ultimate goal. Yeah. And if you're a kind activist, you are fighting to be seen. Yes. In the classroom. Yes. But if teachers are already doing that, then we don't have to fight so hard. Right.
Because we can do everything else we're there to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Being like, put up the representation. It's not hard. No. Print the pictures of what your kids look like. Bare minimum, put up pictures of your kids. Yep. I don't understand the fight for. I understand, supremacy, suppression, all that stuff. But like, what is hard for kids, for you as a teacher to highlight your kids' existence?
That should be so far below the bar we don't even have to talk about it.
Yeah, it should. It should be. Yeah. This is the norm.
Right. For the folks listening.
For the first time.
For the 80th time. Oh. I think about when I hear something that speaks to my heart, that teaches me, that inspires me. The way I honor the people who did that is I do something differently in my life that's in line with that. And so, what is it you want to ask the people listening to this podcast to do to honor the work that you're about, to honor the vision that you're putting out in this podcast, to be a part of that kind activism that is about changing the world into the way it should be? Like, what do you want people to do after hearing this podcast? I mean, you said a lot of things along the way, but I always feel like it's important to ask people because there's always more, and like, let's just get direct with each other about it.
Oh, absolutely. I simple terms, I want people to love more. Yes. But love for me looks like challenging. Yes. That friend who has said some thing that made you question me, like, I don't understand where they're coming from. I want, after listening to educators, after listening to the podcast, being like, okay, how can I be a slightly better educator for myself, even if you're not teaching, but being like, okay, is it me reading this book that I've thought about? Is it me following this new Instagram follower? Is it like, what does that look like? For me, it's saying like how much you love the people in your life and saying thank you for like your mentorship, possibly becoming that mentor. I think for me, it's always, I want you to do better. Just like what you said, leave behind something better. Like for me, I'm like, okay, I'm educating because I always think about, I want every kid I come in contact with to have a better experience than I had. That's what I want. Yeah. I'm always thinking like, okay, I had a all right experience. I had a mostly positive experience. So I could make that slightly better for another kid. So when it comes to educators listening to the podcast, I would be like, okay, what is the goal of your classroom? For non-educators who are just interested in education, how are you an educator in your community? Are you head of some organization? Do you have some after school thing? Or do you have some hobby where you are a leader? My ask is for non-educators to understand that you are a leader in whatever space you're in. Yes. So show up how you'd want to show up. If someone like me entered into your space, how would you want me to see you? That would definitely be my ask. I have non-educator friends. It's weird to say it like that.
One of my best friends isn't a teacher.
All right, yeah. And when I talk to them, they're in corporate or doing nonprofit work. I'm always like, okay, how are you changing the space that you are in? Yes. That's my ask. Like, how are you doing that? And if you don't know, that's okay. Yeah. But be like, I need to start thinking about how I can be a leader or just be able to be just better. Yeah. And if you don't like that space, then the space that you do like that you're in, how are you changing and being better in that space? Yeah. Someone asked me the other day, do they think it's a hard ask to have people want to be better people? And I don't think so, but I understand how some people feel like, well, I'm not a leader, or I don't want to change the world, or that's not my job, or I don't think I'm responsible. Even if they don't have that mindset, you are still in contact with people. Yeah. And you can be a better person for the people that you're in contact with, even if you don't feel like you can make a change. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so important, and particularly as I think about the coming months, right? We're recording this in July of 2024, right? We got a presidential election coming up. Many people around the world and in this country think we're headed towards a civil war. I think that's right. Some version. So to me, it's not about is somebody a leader or not. It's about like, is each of us moving the pieces we have access to make it a better space for everybody, and particularly for the folks who have never been centered in this country or in the school or in whatever space we're in, because we have to. We're not going to survive. It's like just straight up, that's what's going to happen. So even if we don't care or it feels overwhelming, we have to.
You got to do better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lisa, for sitting in the chair and sharing your stories. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the invitation. This was like such a treat. I love what you're doing with the podcast, the chair, with like so many spaces in which you're moving. And I am so grateful for the day I found your handouts on the copier and sat down at lunch.
Welcome to the chair, where Miss Dreme always has a story.
Thank you for listening to an episode of The Chair. I, of course, would love your continued support. Let me know what you think of this episode by doing all the things. Subscribe, comment, and come back next week, every week. Enjoy the rest of your beautiful day. Or if you are like me, enjoy that moonlight and that one star under all your city lights. Love you. Talk to you later.
The chair.
How long I gotta wait for a person to record?
Go.
We support her. Shit.
Do your.
Welcome to the chair, where Miss Dreme always has